this is your time to say what you want to say, don't say what you don't want to say. But I think it's a chance for folks around to get to know you, Bryce, and your story. And I start at the beginning. So, Bryce, where were you born?
I was born in Champaign, Urbana.
And were you raised with mom and dad? What was that like?
Yeah. Norma, Arantes de Romero, and Gary Chambers were my parents. I didn't know them, but, they were not ready to have kids. And so I was adopted by Bruce and Susan Boyd. And I moved up to Wisconsin with my brother. And
you and your brother got adopted, both?
Yeah.
And there's 2 boys only?
Yeah. And so, most of what I remember is life in Wisconsin up until college.
How's it growing up with your? You call them your parents?
I do. That's all I've known. Yeah.
What was home life like?
It was difficult for me because I honestly felt like I knew something of a life before, but I couldn't remember any of it. I couldn't really.
How old were you guys when you got adopted?
I was 3. My brother was half that or something like that.
So you had 3 years of memories.
Yeah, something like that.
Your biological parents.
Yeah.
So you're saying, sorry, growing up, you kind of knew.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, my brother couldn't really talk much when we were kids, and so somehow we learned to communicate with each other. There's some sort of understanding, but I mean, to me it was simple. It was like, tell me the cheapest place, to eat at, and I'll be happy. I think a lot of times my parents overthought it. They actually had to, exchange some sort of monetary foundation for our upbringing and for my mother's sacrifice. It's like organ donating, but I don't know that there's sort of a price on a life, but definitely, knowing that my parents paid $25,000 each for my brother and I so that my mother could go to college. Some sort of fucking...
And you guys went to elementary school, high school, college?
Yeah, we got the works. I mean, I was just gonna go, it's kind of steady as she goes, just sort of, as my parents said, is I was trying not to be expensive, but, often my parents felt like, they were buying our love with how much they wanted to, spend on us exactly. And so, like, at some point, they tried to do the opposite, and they got to try so many other parenting strategies that I think they forgot what their real true essence was. And so, I mean, but for the weirdest, dumbest reason, like, I just felt weirded out by the whole, like, public school scene, and so I just, I'd known my oldest sister, it was like my parents had 2 daughters, and then they were going to have kids again.
So when you went into that family, there was already 2 girls?
Yeah.
So there's 4 of you guys?
Yeah. And then we didn't really spend much time in the house at the same time because they're like 20 years older than me. But, they changed their diapers, they looked out for us, and... so I ended up going to a private all-boys Jesuit preparatory school.
Wow.
Yeah. And it's like, to find out, after I, took the entrance exam with my mom sitting right there and, like, taking a tour of the school and, like, I didn't get to shadow anybody, but I knew very little of it, and it's like if it hadn't been for, like, my sister marrying a guy named Marquette who went to Marquette, I don't know that I would have known it, but it existed, So the only thing I knew about it is that it was kind of an opportunity for a fresh start.
At that school?
Yeah.
So so I understand you correctly, so you went there and toured it, and they're like, by the way, you're gonna go here?
Well, I mean, yeah, I just, my mom was kind of one of those people where she was like, if you can get in, I mean, like, it's a good school, but, you know, I don't know that, you know, it was like the one time we didn't even have the money conversations, like we were having it backwards, you know, from like way long ago, which would be like now, you know, when like, you know, when I'm struggling and like asking my parents for money and they're like trying to cut me off and trying to get me to like kind of have an ultimate strategy and like an ultimate end goal solution, and it's like we had that conversation right away.
So that was a college, or
no, high school.
That was
yeah.
high school. You did that, and then you went to college. What were you doing in college? What did you study?
A bunch of stuff. You know, it's weird, is because like even like the different schools that I applied to, I was interested in different stuff. I couldn't decide then. And definitely when I went to University of San Francisco, I went for graphic design. It's sort of a passion of mine in high school. You know, any chance I got, I'd just like kind of pursue that. Yeah, and it just, I don't know. I'd always kind of messed around on computers, you know, ever since sort of like the 5th or 6th grade, you know, with the internet. You know, it's like, you know, me and my friends talk about it all the time, and we just sort of knew something about it. Like it was sort of our duty to kind of, you know, when you're born into it and it's like it doesn't belong, like, you know, it's too much of a gift is to have it all right there at your fingertips, just knowing what it is right away, even before it's kind of, you know, built that way, is knowing what it could have been and like what it will be is that. So I mean, it's hard because it's like, you know, I'm constantly wanting to like tap into that sort of framework of understanding, you know, the functionality of my overall kind of, you know, neurology. But
so is graphic design still like, is that something you're still interested in?
Yeah, I mean, the thing is like, you know, the graphic arts almost seems like you know, a study in like martial arts, you know what I mean? It almost seems like a fight style, you know. And you know, the problem is that, you know, it's just design, you know what I mean? So it's like, you know, there's different mediums and there's, you know, many different ways
A lot of avenues
to kind of exactly alter the perspective of your terminal. But like in essence, like talking about terminal velocity is like, I know that like my vessel in a religious sense is, you know, a way to understand, you know, my walk. If I see, you know, the word soul as, you know, the sole of my feet, you know what I mean? It's, you know.
So you went to that Jesuit high school.
Yeah.
I mean, sounds like you were raised religious, and you're still religious. Somewhat.
Yes. I actually got ordained a couple months ago.
Yeah.
Yeah, on Universal Life Church.
Nice.
.org, and you know, it's one of those things where it's like when I went to Marquette University High School, they kept, you know, and I didn't know much about it, but like I felt like I did, you know, I felt like I knew things when I walked in the door. I felt like I knew things, you know, when I'd go on retreats and you know, just stuff that people brought. I could see the Holy Spirit, you know, in the hallways, in the meeting places, just like, you know, humming off of people. So
interesting.
Yeah.
You still see that?
No.
And tell me, you know, you have a brother.
Yeah.
Where is he at today?
I don't know. I mean, he's gone on to be a pediatric cardiologist, as much as I know. That was the last thing he told me. So I'm sort of piecing together, you know, the fact that, like, I knew he could become a doctor. My dad was, like, at least a 4th or 5th generation doctor. But even he himself, you know, kind of freaked out and, like, wanted to, like, you know, run from the war, you know. Then he joined the war, and then he was in a conflict twice, and, like, it's all very confusing. But, you know, it's got to be tough, you know, because I'm sure he wanted to experience life to the fullest, you know, is have options, you know what I mean?
Yeah, we all do, right?
Exactly. And, you know, I know that at a certain point, like, I know I didn't, which is kind of the weirdest thing is, you know, I did not. I had a full grasp on what would come first and in what order I would do things and what order I would hone my skills. And at some point, I saw soccer as the premier avenue to hone my intelligence. And so I pursued that, you know, more so than I really pursued my academics.
Yeah, tell me more about that. What do you mean?
I mean, to be honest, I wasn't very good at soccer. Growing up, it was the only sport I really played. I played other sports, but it was the only one I knew I had right away.
Yeah,
like, when I had success, I knew I had it, and I never looked back, you know? And it's like, you know, first time of asking, I won a championship, a high school championship in soccer, and, you know, the second somebody told me where I'm supposed to be, you know, talent-wise, is that's when I knew that all I needed was, you know, that kind of glory, is that kind of, you know, just somebody, you know, clip me to, you know, the coordinates that I, you know, consider, I can sense them, but I don't know exactly what they are. You know, I didn't know how I could read them, is I could feel them. Is the second I saw it, it was like it saw me, and I knew that, and it was just like, you know, instant. So, you know, the second somebody told me you're supposed to be on varsity, I said, well, obviously I'm not stupid enough to think that, like, I wouldn't go from freshman team, you know, to JV to varsity, and, you know, I'd do that. You know, I wasn't planning on quitting soccer, but it's just, you know, it's like all translated right there, like how serious, you know, to take, you know, every practice and everything. So.
So after college, what rolled out after that?
I struggled after college. I sort of had a bad experience over and over and over again. I had 98 credits at one point, and I had 43 taken away from me, and only because I transferred from a Jesuit university to a public.
Didn't transfer, blah blah blah.
Right, and it's like I already had a BS, you know, because I had an H.S. diploma.
And so once college was done, did you start working?
Well, I mean, finding out H&B in parallel now makes me work back and think, you know, maybe I was, you know, really, you know, proving how stuck I would be if people were to deny me, you know, that science fact is just the fact that, like, I had a college degree. And it's like, you know, the pay scale is generated around proving people with a college degree.
Yeah, for a lot of companies, for sure.
And when I was denied the opportunity to have a college degree, not a university degree, a college degree, you know, is that you know, I went and just tried to find jobs that I liked. You know, there were plenty of times when my mom would say, why don't you just work at McDonald's or something? Sure. And I was like, you know, I don't know that that's not you saying, why don't you just give up? You know what I mean? And I said, you know, why don't I just sell my body or something? You know what I mean? Like, you know, because apparently that's not an option for me either. But,
well, you know, you don't seem that old. How long ago was this?
This was, you know, this was about 2011 I left a public university, and it was sad. I kept trying to play, and then I found, you know, this club team, and it just kind of came together where guys were still trying to look to play around my age, and the only place to play was this club, and so I kept playing soccer. I kept trying to go back to school. I tried Arizona State online, got in, and they were like, you should have to take one class, and then, you know, you're in the, you know, the official university. I tried Southern New Hampshire University because I had seen a million ads with Tim Howard and Major League Soccer, and then you know, I tried a local, you know, MATC, it's like Milwaukee Area Technical College, and also I tried one other one, and I can't remember what it is. Well, I also had done UWM online, but I think there was another one that I looked at. But, you know, the point being is, like, you know, it wasn't until later that the major universities were even offering, like, really impressive degree routes, you know. And then it's like when my nephew went to go ask me about, you know, the whole process of, you know, a student athlete, it's like, it keeps changing, but, you know, there's so many rules, and I don't know why it's so corrupt and so complicated. You know, it just seems so too intelligent for its own good, meaning they're trying to lose you with the information, but it's not that
overwhelming. For sure.
Yeah.
Well, so Bryce, you're on the streets now. How did that happen?
Well, I mean, it's interesting. I was reading in the War Cry, the Salvation Army, is that there were just the same time as there were, you know, thousands of homeless in Seattle. So they're about the same in Rome. So, you know, it's just, you know, it just dawned on me to, you know, do the most, you know, giving thing is to just be like, you know, if my back's against the wall, so to speak, you know, being the ground, you know, sleeping on the ground.
How long have you been sleeping on the ground?
I mean, I gotta tell you, the first time that I slept on the ground in this park, I changed my life, to be honest. It was a nice day, it was a nice night, and so I've been studying a lot recently in my ministry about dousing on stone. Is many believe that's how you make fire appear. Now, I mean, I often think that you know, the meaning of my life is the takeaway. You know what I mean? Is you know, a process of elimination, meaning everything that anybody wouldn't know about my life is the one thing that I'll carry with me always, no matter what, you know, someone else tells me is going to be of my life. Is obviously I had a plan, but you know, I never wanted to leave.
What do you do to cope, Bryce? How do you cope?
I just breathe. Because, you know, why wouldn't you?
Is there anything that you'd want the people of Seattle to know?
No. I have a lot of love for Seattle. You know, I'm not around, and I don't know. I don't really know why. Because the funny thing is, you know, many times staying in downtown shelters is like, you know, men's shelters is, you know, it became a common conversation with us. You know, about how it was like being in the military. Like we were, you know, boots on the ground. You know. Like we were really part of the Salvation Army, like an extension of, you know, sort of this whole housing crisis that starts, you know, as many people forget, and I often forgot, is like back to 2004 and the collapse of the whole housing market. So, you know, and, you know, Trump tweeting out that in 2035 we're going to run out of retirement. You know, I got on Social Security disability and Social Security income, which I didn't know we had the whole time. And, you know, now I'm, you know, currently waiting for $22,000 back pay that they refuse to give me. You know, but I ultimately know that the IRS, because of the Patriot Act and because of the Freedom of Information Act due to 9/11, has all the information they need to know that, like, Google and the IRS by itself, you know, and just protect the president and get him to a safe location where he can trust people. And wow, it's not it's not hard. You know, it's just so many distrust and worthy people, but, you know, only in vessel, you know what I mean? Only in kind is like the biometric readings on people, you know, get thrown for a loop when just the language that they speak is not loving. You know, it's just unkind. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, thanks, man. Thanks for sharing your story, and
Yeah.
it's good to hear your voice.